The Queen's chamber was deeper than anyone expected. Sergeant Bei Zhongqi led what remained of his team through tunnels that grew darker and stranger with every step. The walls here were different, older, harder, covered in patterns that looked almost like writing. The Dren had been here for weeks, but these tunnels felt ancient, like they had existed long before the swarm arrived. How much farther? One of the Marines asked. Close, Dr. Shin the Jin answered through the communication system. I'm tracking massive biological energy ahead. She's there. Zhongqi checked his ammunition. He was running low. They all were. But they had enough. They had to have enough. Stay sharp, he told his team. This ends now. The tunnel opened into a final chamber. And there she was. The Queen had changed since they last saw her. She was smaller now, more compact, but somehow more terrifying. Her body had adapted to the Earth atmosphere. Her skin was thicker. Her eyes burned with intelligence and hatred dot around her. 100 Dren stood guard, the last of her children. They were different too. Stronger, faster, the new strain that the Jinn had warned about. You came, the Queen said. Her voice filled the chamber like poison filling a cup. I knew you would. Your kind never learns when to stop. Zhongqi raised his weapon. Neither do you. I have lived for 10,000 years. I have consumed civilizations that would make your Earth look like a speck of dust. And I will survive this. I will adapt. I will grow. And when I am ready, I will come for your world. I will eat your children while you watch. No. Captain Park Daho's voice came through the communication system. He had been listening the whole time. You won't. And who are you to say this? A single human. A brief moment of life. What can you do against eternity? I can end you. Right here. Right now. The Queen laughed. It was a horrible sound, wet and wrong. Try. Zhongqi gave the order. Fire! The chamber exploded into chaos. Flames and bullets filled the air. The adapted Dren were harder to kill, but they still died. They still burned. The Marines pushed forward, step by bloody step, toward the Queen, but she was fast. Faster than anything her size should be. She moved through her children like smoke, killing Marines with each strike. 2 fell, then 3. Then 5. Zhongqi found himself face to face with her. His rifle was empty. He pulled his knife, a simple steel blade that had belonged to his grandfather. You fight with a toy, the Queen hissed. Pathetic. It's not the weapon, Zhongqi said. It's the will behind it. He charged. The battle was brief and brutal. The Queen was stronger, faster, and smarter. But Zhongqi was human. And humans didn't know when to quit. His knife found her flesh again and again. She screamed and struck back, opening wounds across his body. They fell together, wrapped in each other's violence. Neither willing to let go. Then Chief Engineer Subin appeared behind the Queen. In her hands was a small device, a concentrated genetic weapon that the Jinn had designed during the flight to Velith Prime. It targeted only Dren biology. It was untested. It was dangerous. It was their only chance. Now. Zhongqi shouted. Subin activated the weapon and drove it into the Queen's back. The effect was immediate. The Queen's body began to break apart from the inside. Her cells turned against each other. Her flesh melted. Her screams became gurgles, then silence. Do you think this is over? She whispered with her last breath. There are others. Other queens. Other swarms. They will come for you. They will never stop coming. Zhongqi looked down at her dying form. Then we'll be ready. We'll always be ready. The Queen of the Dren swarm died on the floor of a chamber beneath Velith Prime. Around her, her children fell moments later, the genetic weapon spreading through their connected biology. destroying them all. The war was over. 3 days later, the Iron Wake orbited above a changed world. Velith Prime was scarred. The southern continent would take centuries to recover. Millions of Velith had died, but millions more had survived. The Dren hives were silent and dead, burned by human weapons and poisoned by Earth-Air Dot in the medical bay. Corporal Nogi Aite opened his eyes. He was wrapped in bandages, connected to machines, but he was alive. Lieutenant Yunhana stood beside his bed. She looked tired but satisfied. "You're awake," she said. "Good. I hate giving speeches to unconscious people." Jiaite tried to smile. "It hurt. Did we win?" "We won. The Queen is dead. The swarm is destroyed. And the Velith are broadcasting their apology across the entire galaxy right now. Every species is watching. So we did it. We proved we're not monsters." Hana shook her head slowly. "No, we proved exactly what we are. Monsters who protect. Predators who choose their targets carefully. The galaxy isn't going to love us after this, but they'll respect us. And more importantly, they'll never lock us away again." Jiaite was quiet for a moment. "Was it worth it? The lives we lost?" Hana didn't answer immediately. She looked out the small window at the stars beyond. "I used to hate the Velith," she finally said. "I blamed them for everything my family suffered. But during the battle, I watched them. I saw parents carrying children through flames. I saw old people refusing to leave their homes. They're not so different from us. They're just weaker. They needed someone strong to protect them. And we were strong." She turned back to Gite. "I think that's what being human means. We're not good or evil. We're strong. And strength comes with responsibility. We can destroy. We can protect. The choice is ours." On the bridge, Captain Park Daeho received a transmission from the surface. High Arbiter Milos appeared on the screen. He looked different than before, smaller somehow, like the weight of recent events had crushed part of him. "Captain Park," Milos said, "I have done as you asked. The apology has been broadcast. Every species in the galaxy knows what humanity did here, and they know what we did to you 50 years ago. Good. I wanted to thank you personally. I know you didn't come here out of kindness. I know you came for your own reasons. But the result is the same. My people live because of you." Daeho nodded slowly. "Don't thank us, High Arbiter. Remember us. Remember what happens when you corner a Deathworlder. Remember that the species you feared most became the one that saved you. And next time you look at humans and think you see monsters, remember that monsters can be friends too." Milos was silent. Then, slowly, he bowed his head, a gesture of respect that Velith rarely showed to anyone. "I will remember, Captain. The Velith Collective will never forget." The transmission ended. Daeho stood and walked to the observation window. Below him, Velith Prime turned slowly, wounded but alive. Behind him, his crew worked at their stations. And somewhere in the ship, his soldiers rested, recovering from wounds that would become scars, from memories that would become stories. Ambassador Quan Taemin joined him at the window. "What happens now?" Taemin asked. "Now we go home. And we wait. Wait for what?" Daeho looked out at the stars. Somewhere among them, other queens waited. Other swarms grew and hungered. The universe was vast and full of things that wanted to consume the weak. "We wait for the next time someone needs help," he said. "Because they'll call us. They always call us." The galaxy spent 50 years trying to forget that humans exist. Now they'll never forget again. Tamin smiled. "Is that a good thing?" "It's a human thing." The Iron Wake turned toward home. Its mission was complete. The Velith were saved. The Dren were destroyed. And across the galaxy, Species who had once feared humanity now looked at the stars with new understanding. Deathworlders don't show mercy, but they don't abandon those who ask for help either. That's what makes them terrifying. That's what makes them human. The drop pods fell through fire. Corporal Nogi-Te pressed his back against his seat as the small metal container screamed through the atmosphere of Velith Prime. Around him, 10 other Marines sat in silence. Their faces were hidden behind sealed helmets. Their bodies were wrapped in heavy armor. Each suit pumped Earth-standard air-high oxygen, high pressure directly into their lungs. For them, it was normal breathing. For the Dren, it would be poison. 30 seconds to impact, the pilot announced through their helmets. Weapons hot on landing. Jiaite checked his flame rifle one more time. His hands were steady, but his heart pounded in his chest. This was real. This was happening. The pod slammed into the ground. The door exploded outward. They were in the middle of a Dren hive. The landscape was wrong. Everything was covered in black, wet material that looked like it was alive. Towers of strange flesh rose from the ground. Tunnels led down into darkness. And everywhere, there were DRENN thousands of them. Contact. Someone shouted. Gi-Te pulled his trigger. A stream of fire shot from his weapon and washed over the nearest group of creatures. They screamed and burned and died. But more came. Always more. Sergeant Baejung-Ki moved through the chaos like he was walking through rain. His movements were calm and precise. Every shot killed. Every step forward created space for his soldiers. Stay together, he commanded. Don't let them separate us. The Dren attacked from all sides. They crawled over the ground, dropped from the towers, emerged from the tunnels. Their bodies were nightmares, black shells covering soft flesh, too many legs, mouths that never stopped moving. They made clicking sounds as they moved, like bones breaking, but they were dying. 1 by 1, then 10 by 10, then 100 by 100. The human Marines pushed forward, burning everything in their path. The Dren couldn't handle the heat. They couldn't handle the oxygen levels. They couldn't handle the sheer violence of the attack. Above the battle, the Iron Wake and its companion ships provided support. Lieutenant Yoon Hana coordinated the orbital strikes with cold precision. Her fingers moved across her panel, and pillars of fire fell from the sky. Strike Zone 7 clear, she reported. Moving to Zone 8. Ground teams, adjust position 30 meters east. Captain Park Daeho watched the battle on his screens. The plan was working. The humans were creating death zones, areas where Earth-standard conditions made it impossible for the Dren to survive. They were pushing the swarm back, killing them by the thousands, but it wasn't enough. Dr. Shin, Daeho called. Status report. The Jin looked up from her research station. Her face was troubled. We have a problem, Captain. I've been analyzing the Dren we killed on Deck 7. They're different from the ones we fought 50 years ago. Different how? They're adapting. The Queen is changing them. This new strain has stronger cells, better resistance to oxygen. They're still dying, but they're dying slower. If this continues, they might develop immunity to our methods. Daeho's expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened. How long? Days, maybe hours. We need to kill the Queen before she finishes the adaptation. Where is she? Deep underground, below the main hive. My scans show massive biological activity there. She's protected by millions of drones. Daeho turned back to the battle screen. This changed everything. A frontal assault wouldn't work. They needed to strike at the heart. Anna, get me Sergeant Bae. On the surface, Jun-Ki heard the captain's voice in his helmet. Sergeant, new orders. We're sending you coordinates for the Queen's location. Your team will lead the underground assault. Junkie looked around at his soldiers. They were tired and bloody, but they were still standing. That was what humans did. They kept standing. Understood, Captain. We're moving now. The journey underground was worse than the surface. The tunnels were narrow and dark. The walls pulsed like they were alive. The smell was unbearable rot and sweetness mixed together, until it became something that shouldn't exist. G.I.T. walked near the front of the group. His flame rifle lit the darkness ahead. Every few minutes, they encountered Dren. Every few minutes, they burned them down. "I've been thinking," he said to Junkie during a quiet moment, "about what you said before. About caring about the right things. Not the best time for philosophy, Corporal. Maybe not. But I figured something out. We're not fighting because we hate the Dren. We're fighting because we care about what they'll destroy if we don't stop them. The Velith. Other species. Our own people eventually." Junkie looked at him. Even through his helmet, G.I.T. could feel the sergeant's approval. "You're learning, kid." The tunnel opened into a massive chamber. And there, at the center, was something that made even the hardened Marines stop and stare. The Queen Dot, she was enormous, as big as a building. Her body was a mountain of black flesh, covered in smaller Dren that crawled across her like insects. Thousands of eggs surrounded her, pulsing with new life. And her face, if it could be called a face, turned toward the humans with ancient intelligence. "So," the Queen said. Her voice came from everywhere at once. "The Deathworlders have come at last. I wondered when you would find me." Junkie raised his weapon. "You know what we are. I know your kind. I have consumed 1,000 worlds, but I have never forgotten the ones that fought back. Your species burned my children 50 years ago. I have waited for revenge." "Waited?" G.I.T. stepped forward. "You attacked the Velith, not us. The Velith are nothing. Weak creatures. Easy to consume. But I knew that destroying them would bring you here. I knew you would come to prove your strength. And now, at last, I can taste you." The chamber exploded with movement. Dren poured from every direction, from the walls, from the floor, from the Queen herself. There were too many. Far too many. "Fall back," Junkie ordered. "Form a defensive circle." The Marines moved with trained efficiency. They stood back to back, flames shooting outward, creating a ring of fire. But the Dren kept coming. Bodies piled up, burning, but more climbed over them. "We can't hold this," someone shouted. G.I.T. saw a group of Dren break through the line. They rushed toward Ambassador Quan Tae-min, who had insisted on accompanying the mission. Tae-min raised his small pistol, but he was no soldier. He would die in seconds. G.I.T. didn't think. He moved. He threw himself between Tae-min and the Dren, his rifle blazing. The creatures burned, screaming, but one got through. Its claws raked across G.I.T.'s armor, tearing through metal and flesh. Pain exploded through his body. He fell. Tae-min dropped beside him. "Corporal, stay with me." G.I.T. looked up at the ceiling of the chamber. The pain was fading now, replaced by something cold. This was it, he thought. This was the end. But then he heard something. A sound that cut through the chaos. A sound that made his heart lift. Human voices. Hundreds of them. Singing. Reinforcements poured into the chamber. Chief Engineer and Subin led them, carrying something large and strange on her back. A weapon of some kind. "Get clear," she shouted. "I'm deploying the atmospheric charge." The Marines grabbed G.I.T. and Tae-min and ran. Behind them, Subin activated her device. The air changed. It became heavy, thick, full of oxygen. Earth air. Real Earth air, compressed and concentrated to lethal levels. The Queen screamed. Her children screamed. The sound was horrible, thousands of voices crying out in agony. The Dren began to die. Not slowly, not one by one, but all at once. Their bodies couldn't handle the pressure. Their cells couldn't process the oxygen. They collapsed, twitched, and fell silent. When it was over, the chamber was filled with the dead. Subin stood among the corpses, her device still humming. Atmospheric weapon deployed. Threat neutralized. On the Iron Wake, Captain Deho received the report. He allowed himself a small smile. Good work, engineer. Begin extraction of all ground forces. But the Jinn stepped beside him. Her face was serious. Captain, the Queen isn't dead. She retreated deeper into the tunnels. She's adapting faster than I expected. We need to finish this now. Deho nodded. Then we finish it. Send Sergeant Bay the coordinates. The Queen dies today. Below the surface of Velith Prime, Junki checked his ammunition. Around him, his soldiers prepared for the final push. And somewhere in the darkness ahead, the Queen waited. The battle wasn't over. But it would be soon. Velith Prime burned beneath them. Captain Park Deho stood at the observation window of the Iron Wake and watched the planet turn slowly. From orbit, he could see the Dren hives spreading across the surface like black wounds. They covered mountains and valleys and cities. Where there had once been beautiful blue forests and crystal towers, there was now only darkness and death. 30% of the surface is consumed, Lieutenant Yunhana reported from her station. The Dren are concentrated in the southern continent, but they're spreading fast. At this rate, the entire planet will be dead within a week. Deho said nothing. He had seen destruction before, but this was something different. This was a civilization being eaten alive. How many survivors? Approximately 200 million Velith have gathered in the northern cities. The Dren haven't reached them yet, but it's only a matter of time. The communication panel beeped. Hannah checked the signal. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the surface. It's the High Arbiter. Deho turned from the window. Put it through. The main screen flickered to life. A Velith appeared, but this one was different from Envoy Desek. It was older, with deep lines on its pale blue face. Its eyes were not filled with fear. They were filled with something colder. Pride, perhaps. Or stubbornness. I am High Arbiter Milas, the Velith said. Leader of the Velith Collective. You are the human commander? Captain Park Deho. I received your envoy's message. Then you know our situation. Milas has paused. Your envoy also delivered your terms. I must say, Captain, they are difficult. They're simple, Deho replied. We save your people. You give us what we deserve. Nothing complicated about it. You ask us to admit that we were wrong. To announce to the entire galaxy that we treated humanity unjustly. Do you understand what that means for us? For our reputation? For our position in the council? Hana laughed quietly. Malice's eyes moved to her. Something amusing, Lieutenant? Yes, actually. Hana stepped forward. You're standing on a dying world, watching your people get eaten by monsters, and you're worried about your reputation. That's very funny to me. Malice's expression hardened. We are a proud people. We have led the Galactic Council for 3,000 years. We have guided dozens of species toward peace and cooperation. You cannot simply what? Deho interrupted. Admit you made a mistake? Say sorry? Is your pride worth more than 200 million lives? The High Arbiter fell silent. Deho continued. 50 years ago, your people decided that humanity was too dangerous to be free. You looked at us and saw only violence. You didn't see our art, our music, our capacity for love. You saw monsters, and you treated us like monsters. You locked us away and forgot about us. He stepped closer to the screen. Now you need those monsters. You need our violence. You need our brutality. Because without it, your beautiful civilization dies. So here's the truth, High Arbiter. You were right about us. We are dangerous. We are violent. We are everything you feared. But we're also your only hope. Milos stared at him. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then, slowly, the High Arbiter lowered his head. What choice do I have? Milos whispered. My people are dying. My world is burning. If humiliation is the price of survival, then I will pay it. I will broadcast the apology. I will give you everything you ask. Smart decision. Deho turned to Hana. Begin preparing the assault. I want troops ready to deploy within 6 hours. Already done, Captain. A new voice spoke from behind them. Ambassador Quan Tae-min had entered the bridge. He looked pale and troubled. Captain, may I speak with you privately? Deho nodded and followed Tae-min to the corner of the bridge. What is it? Tae-min spoke quietly. I understand why you're demanding these terms. I even agree with them. But I'm worried about how we're presenting ourselves. We look like conquerors, not rescuers. We're neither, Deho replied. We're survivors. And survival means being strong. The galaxy respects strength, not kindness. Maybe, but there's a young Marine on this ship named Nogai Tae. I talked to him earlier. He asked me if we're really any better than the Dren. He said, we're treating the Velith like enemies instead of people who need help. Deho considered this. Corporal No is young. He'll learn. Learn what? That compassion is weakness? Is that really the lesson we want to teach? Before Deho could answer, alarms began screaming throughout the ship. Hana's voice cut through the noise. Captain! Dren, attack! They're launching biological missiles at the fleet. Deho ran back to his chair. Show me. The screen displayed dozens of small objects rising from the planet's surface. They moved fast, aimed directly at the human ships. Those aren't normal missiles, Dr. Shin the Jin reported from her station. They're carrying live Dren organisms. If they hit us, they'll try to infest the ships. Shoot them down. All of them. The Ironwake's weapons came alive. Bright lines of fire crossed the darkness of space. One by one, the missiles exploded, showering the void with burning fragments. But some got through. Hull breach on Deck 7. A crew member shouted. Dren organisms are inside the ship. Jung Ki's voice came through the communication system. My team is responding. We'll handle it. Down on Deck 7, Sergeant Bae Jung Ki led his soldiers through the corridors. The air smelled wrong, sweet, and rotten, like fruit left too long in the sun. Dren smell. They found the creatures in the cargo bay. There were only 5 of them, small and weak from the missile launch. Their bodies were black and wet, covered in sharp legs and hungry mouths. Fire! Jung Ki ordered. The Marines opened up with flame weapons. The Dren screamed a horrible, high-pitched sound and burned. Within seconds, nothing remained but ash. Corporal No Gi-Aite stood among the ashes, his face pale. He had never killed anything before. He had trained for it, prepared for it, but the reality was different. The reality was worse. Jung Ki noticed his expression. First kill? Gi-Aite nodded slowly. It gets easier, does it? Or do we just stop caring? Jung Ki was silent for a moment. Then he put a hand on Gi-Aite's shoulder. Listen to me, Corporal. Caring isn't the problem. The problem is caring about the wrong things. Those creatures, they don't think. They don't feel. They exist only to consume. You can't show mercy to something that can't understand mercy. All you can do is stop it before it hurts anyone else. And the Velith? We're treating them almost as badly as the Dren. No, we're treating them like adults. We're telling them the truth and making them face reality. That's not cruelty. That's respect. G.I.T. didn't look convinced, but he said nothing more. Back on the bridge, Captain Deho watched the last of the Dren missiles burn. The attack had failed, but it proved something important. The Dren were aware of them now. They knew humans had come. "The swarm is testing us," the Jinn said. "They want to see how we fight, how we respond to threats. Then let's give them an answer they'll remember." Daiho turned to Hana. "Open a channel to all ships. The assault begins at dawn." Hana smiled. "With pleasure, Captain." High Arbiter Milas watched from the surface as the human fleet began to move. Lights flickered in the darkness above his world. The Deathworlders were preparing for war. He had spent his entire life believing that humanity was a mistake, a violent species that should never have evolved. Now he was counting on that violence to save everything he loved. The universe, he decided, had a cruel sense of humor. The Ironwake moved through space like a predator hunting prey. In the cargo bay, Sergeant Bei Jun-ki checked his weapons for the third time. His rifle was clean. His armor was ready. His mind was focused. He had fought the Dren before, 20 years ago, when a small group had tried to establish a hive on a human colony world. He still remembered the smell of burning flesh. He still remembered the screams. His soldiers sat around him in silence. They were young, most of them. They had never seen real combat against the swarm. They only knew the stories. "Listen carefully," Jun-ki said. His voice was rough from years of shouting orders. "The Dren are not like any enemy you've trained against. They don't retreat. They don't surrender. They don't feel fear. They have one purpose: to consume. And they will keep coming until they're all dead or you are." A young corporal named No Gi-Ite raised his hand. "Sergeant, how do we kill them?" "Fire. Lots of it. Their bodies burn easily. But the problem isn't killing one Dren. The problem is killing 1,000,000 of them while they're trying to eat you alive." Jun-ki paused. "Any other questions?" The soldiers were silent. "Good. Get some rest. We land in 12 hours. Meanwhile, in the ship's medical bay, Dr. Shin the Jin studied the data on her screen. She was a xenobiologist, an expert on alien species. For the past 10 years, she had focused all her research on the Dren swarm. She knew more about them than any other human alive. The door opened. Captain Park Deho walked in. "Doctor, what can you tell me?" The Jin turned to face him. Her expression was calm and professional. Some people found her coldness disturbing. She didn't care. Emotions made bad science. "The Dren have one major weakness," she said. "They evolved on a low-gravity world with thin atmosphere. Earth conditions are lethal to them. High gravity crushes their bodies. High oxygen levels poison their blood. If we can create an Earth-like environment, we can kill them without firing a single shot. And the Velith? The Velith are the opposite. They're fragile. Low gravity. Low oxygen. If we pump Earth-standard air into their cities, we'll kill them along with the Dren." Deho nodded slowly. "So we need to be careful. We need to be precise. This isn't going to be a simple fight. We'll need to isolate the Dren hives and create contained kill zones. It will take time. Time the Velith may not have." Before Deho could respond, the ship's communication system crackled to life. Lieutenant Yoon Hana's voice filled the room. "Captain, we have a visitor. A Velith shuttle just docked with us. They sent an envoy." Deho's expression didn't change. "Bring them to the conference room." "I'll be there shortly." He looked at the Jinn. "Join me. I want them to understand what they're asking for." The conference room was small and plain. Human ships were not built for comfort. They were built for survival. The Velith envoy was already waiting when Deho arrived. The creature was even more fragile in person than in the transmission. Its skin was almost transparent, and Deho could see blue veins pulsing beneath the surface. Its name was Desik, and it trembled constantly. Deho sat down across from Desik. The Jinn stood behind him, silent and watchful. Hana leaned against the wall, her arms crossed. "You are Captain Park," Desik said. Its voice was soft and shaking. "Thank you for responding to our signal. Thank you for coming. The Velith Collective is grateful beyond words." "Save your gratitude," Deho said. "Tell me about the situation." Desik's large eyes blinked rapidly. "The Dren arrived 3 weeks ago. They came in great numbers. Our fleet fought bravely, but we are not warriors. We are scholars, artists, thinkers. We could not stop them." "You couldn't stop them," Hana said, "but you could stop us. 50 years ago, you convinced the galaxy that humans were too dangerous to be allowed freedom. Do you remember that?" Desik lowered its head. "I remember. I was young then, but I remember. The Council was afraid. We saw what your people did to the Dren scouts. You destroyed them completely. No survivors. No mercy. We thought you would do the same to us someday. And now?" Hana stepped forward. "Now that the Dren are eating your children, suddenly we're not so scary anymore." "Lieutenant." Deho's voice was firm. Hana stopped, but her anger remained. Desik looked at her with those huge dark eyes. "You are right to be angry. The quarantine was wrong. We know that now. My grandmother voted for it, and she spent the rest of her life regretting it. She said that fear makes us stupid. She was right." The Jinn spoke for the first time. "Fear makes you stupid, and the Dren make you dead. That's the simple math of the universe." Desik turned to her. "You are the scientist? The one who studies the swarm?" "I am. Can you stop them? Can you save my people?" The Jinn considered the question carefully. "The Dren can be killed. Their biology has weaknesses that we can exploit. But saving your people depends on how much you're willing to accept." "What do you mean?" "I mean that human methods are not gentle. We don't fight with honor or restraint. We fight to win. Completely. Permanently. When we engage the Dren, there will be destruction. There will be fire. Parts of your world may be damaged beyond repair. Are you prepared for that?" Desik was silent for a long moment. Then it spoke, and its voice was stronger than before. "My world is already dying. If destruction is the price of survival, we will pay it." Deho studied the envoy. He saw fear, yes, but also something else. Desperation had burned away the creature's pride. That was good. Pride would only get in the way. "There will be conditions," Deho said. "Humanity doesn't work for free. Name them. Full galactic citizenship. Access to all trade routes. Recognition as equals in the Galactic Council. And a public apology, broadcast to every species, admitting that the quarantine was unjust." Desik's trembling increased. "Those terms, they will be difficult for the High Arbiter to accept. Then your High Arbiter can watch his people die." Deho stood up. "We're not begging for permission. We're offering a trade. Our help for your respect. Take it or leave it." Hana smiled coldly. 50 years you kept us in a cage. Consider this the price of opening the door." Desik looked at each of them in turn. The humans stared back without emotion. There was no kindness in their faces. No warmth. Only purpose. "I will speak to the High Arbiter," Desik said finally. "I will tell him your terms. You do that." Deho walked toward the door. "And tell him something else. Tell him that the Deathworlders are coming. And when we arrive, the Dren will learn what it means to be prey." He left the room. Hana followed. The Jinn paused at the door and looked back at the trembling envoy. "Don't be afraid," she said. "We're on your side now. And that means the Dren should be very, very afraid." She walked out, leaving Desic alone with its thoughts. Outside, the stars rushed past as the Iron Wake continued its journey. Velith Prime waited ahead, wrapped in darkness and death. The Dren Swarm thought they were the hunters. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The signal came at 3 in the morning. Ship time. Captain Park Deho was sleeping in his small cabin when the alarm pulled him from his dreams. He opened his eyes and stared at the ceiling for a moment. After 20 years in the fleet, he knew the difference between a normal alert and an emergency. This was an emergency. He dressed quickly and walked to the bridge of the Iron Wake. His crew was already there, working at their stations. The ship was old but strong. It had carried him through 2 wars and countless patrols along the edge of human space. He trusted it more than he trusted most people. Lieutenant Yunhana turned from her communication panel. Her face was hard to read, but Deho had served with her for 5 years. He could see the tension in her shoulders. "Captain," she said, "we received a priority signal. Galactic Council encryption." Deho sat in his chair. "Show me." The main screen flickered to life. A face appeared. It was not human. The creature had pale blue skin and large, dark eyes. Its body was thin and delicate, like it might break if someone touched it too hard. Deho recognized the species immediately. The Velith was speaking fast, its voice high and filled with fear. "This message goes to all species of the Galactic Council. The Velith Collective faces extinction. The Dren Swarm has reached our homeworld. Our defenses have failed. Our ships are destroyed. We have days, perhaps hours, before total consumption. We beg for assistance. We beg for mercy. Please, anyone, help us." The message ended. The bridge was silent. Deho did not move. He felt something cold settle in his chest. Not sympathy. Something else. "How old is this signal?" he asked. 6 hours, Hana answered. It was broadcast on all frequencies. Every species in the galaxy received it. "And how many have responded?" Hana checked her panel. "None, Captain. The Galactic Council has not issued any statement. No fleet movements detected from any member species." Deho nodded slowly. He was not surprised. The Dren Swarm was the nightmare that every species feared. They were parasites that traveled from world to world, consuming everything. They ate plants, animals, and people. They turned planets into dead rocks. No species had ever stopped them completely. No species except humans. 50 years ago, a Dren scouting fleet had entered human space. They expected easy prey. They found something else entirely. The human military had destroyed them completely. Not captured. Not driven away. Destroyed. Every ship. Every drone. Every single Dren creature. The galaxy had watched in horror. They called humans brutal, savage, dangerous. The Velith Collective had led the campaign to punish humanity. They convinced the Galactic Council to quarantine Earth. Humans were banned from trade, banned from travel, banned from everything. For 50 years, humanity had lived in isolation. And now the Velith were begging for help. Hana spoke again. Her voice was bitter. "They have some nerve, don't they? 50 years they kept us locked away like animals. Now they want us to save them." "The Dren don't care about politics," Deho said quietly. "Neither do I." Hana turned to face him. "Captain, I lost family because of the quarantine. My grandmother died on a transport ship that was denied medical supplies at a Velith station. They watched her die and did nothing. Why should we do anything different?" The door to the bridge opened. A young man walked in. He wore the gray uniform of the diplomatic corps. His name was Quan Tae-min, and he was the diplomatic attaché assigned to the Iron Wake. Deho had never liked having a politician on his ship, but orders were orders. I heard the signal, Taemin said. We have to respond. Hana laughed. It was not a friendly sound. We don't have to do anything. The Velith are dying. Millions of them. Children. Families. We can't just ignore that. They ignored us for 50 years. Taemin stepped forward. He was young, maybe 30 years old. His face was earnest and open. Daeho could see that he truly believed what he was saying. This is our chance, Taemin said. If we save them, we prove that humanity is not what they think we are. We show the galaxy that we're better than our reputation. Hana shook her head. You want to prove something to people who hate us? Who called us monsters? They're only asking for help because they're desperate. The moment the danger passes, they'll go right back to treating us like dirt. Maybe, Taemin admitted. But maybe not. We won't know unless we try. Daeho listened to them argue. He understood both sides. Hana was right that the Velith had treated humanity terribly. Taemin was right that this was an opportunity. But neither of them was thinking clearly. He stood up. Both of them fell silent. The Dren Swarm is a threat to everyone, Daeho said. Today, it's the Velith. Tomorrow, it might be someone else. The day after that, it might be us. If we let the swarm grow stronger by consuming an entire civilization, we make our own future more dangerous. Hana frowned. So we're saving them for practical reasons? I'm not saving anyone. Daeho walked to the main screen and stared at the frozen image of the terrified Velith. The Velith called us dangerous animals. They said we were too violent to be part of galactic society. They locked us away because they were afraid of what we might do. He turned back to his crew. I say we show them they were right to be afraid. The bridge was quiet. Hana's expression changed. A small smile appeared on her face. It was not a nice smile. Now that, she said, is a reason I can support. Taemin looked confused. I don't understand. Are we helping them or not? We're going to save them, Daeho said. But not because they asked nicely. Not because we feel sorry for them. We're going to save them because the galaxy needs to see what humanity really is. They think we're monsters? Fine. Let them see what kind of monsters we are. The kind that protects. The kind that destroys threats. The kind that no one should ever make an enemy of. He sat back in his chair. Set course for Velith Prime. Maximum speed. Hana's hands moved across her panel. Course set. We'll arrive in 18 hours. Send a message ahead. Tell them the Deathworlders are coming. Taemin stepped closer. Deathworlders? Daeho almost smiled. That's what they call us. Humans evolved on a planet with high gravity, extreme weather, and predators everywhere. Most species would die in our environment within hours. To them, Earth is a death world. And we are its children. The Iron Wake turned toward Velith Prime. Behind it, the stars seemed cold and distant. Ahead, a dying civilization waited. They had begged for mercy. But mercy was not what they would receive. They would receive something better. They would receive the full attention of humanity, and the galaxy would never forget it.